Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM News 10 at 10, where we give you more news and weather in less time. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Let's get started. Two officer-involved shootings in the same day. First, a story that's developing tonight. Officers and deputies shot a man near Dalton Elementary School in Coeur d'Alene. It all began at around 2 o'clock this afternoon when deputies got reports of an armed suicidal man in a house next to the school. That school went on lockdown as they tried to negotiate with the man, who they say repeatedly said that he would shoot the officers on scene. Then at around 5 tonight, officers say the man, quote, brandished an AR-15 style rifle, and that's when authorities fired. Police are not saying how many officers fired, only that members of the sheriff's office and police department were involved. The man was taken to the hospital. His name and condition have not yet been released. And a few hours before that police shooting in Coeur d'Alene, police in Spokane shot and killed a man. They say he was holding a baby at knife point. KREM 2's Ian Smay reports from the scene tonight.
Spokane police officers shot the suspect, which means the investigation will now be carried out by the Spokane County Sheriff's Office and the Washington State Patrol. Spokane Police Chief Craig Meidel said a woman called police crying at about 12:45 this afternoon. She told police she thought her baby was dead. Now, this all happened about a block away from the Stone Street Park, which is where we are standing now. In fact, you can actually see the caution tape from where we're standing in Stone Street Park. The police chief described the scene as chaotic when officers arrived, as multiple cars were moving around the area. He said when they approached the house, officers saw a man holding a baby at knife point. It was several minutes after officers arrived when the shots were fired.
They addressed this individual, and within several minutes after that initial contact where they saw the subject holding a knife to an infant, shots were fired. At this point in time, we believe 2 officers fired their weapons.
That man was taken to the hospital and has since died from his injuries. We're told the baby was not injured throughout all of this, and at this point it's still unclear how the man was related to the woman and child, but Meidel did say police have received information that this could be a domestic violence situation. The names of the officers who shot their weapons today have not been released. Reporting in the Chief Gary Park neighborhood, Ian Smay, KREM 2 News.
New tonight, a Newport police officer has been arrested and fired after allegations of sexual abuse towards kids. Raul Lopez is charged with 3 counts of lewd conduct with a minor under 16 years old, as well as 2 counts of sexual abuse towards a child under 16 years old. Lopez had been assigned as a school resource officer at the Newport Unified School District. Newport police have informed the district of the allegations, which were unrelated, they say, to his former position as a police officer. Also new tonight, an 18-year-old has died after deputies say a 17-year-old drove and crashed a car while impaired. Deputies responded to that crash on South Bowdish near East 16th Avenue in Spokane Valley. Investigators say the car was speeding, did not stop at an intersection, flipped, and then hit a tree. Both passengers in the car had life-threatening injuries and were taken to the hospital. The 18-year-old passenger died at the hospital. The other passenger is described as being stable, and the driver is now in the Spokane County Jail, charged with vehicular homicide and vehicular assault. Also new tonight, a heads up if you take public transport. The Spokane Transit Authority announced they are reducing services due to operator absences. They'll be suspending their express routes, which account for about 10% of their service. This is expected to last through Friday. Routes serving Eastern Washington University and Cheney will continue on modified schedules. Routes impacted are the North Express, South Express, Liberty Lake Express, Valley Transit, Center Express, Valley Express, and Swoop Loop in Cheney. Now it's time for your Night Beat, a look at the top stories from today.
It is the most surreal and haunting feeling in the world to know that death is down the hall and coming.
No one else knows, and no one else can possibly understand what you're dealing with.
I was no longer an innocent high school student. I had to immediately become an adult.
Powerful words from members of the Freeman community. Today marked day 1 of the victim impact statements. Over the next several days, as many as 150 people are expected to tell the court how that September day in 2017 impacted their lives. That's when Caleb Sharp walked into the school and opened fire, killing 1 student, Sam Strahan, and wounding 3 more. Coming up in less than 10 minutes, we'll share more of those statements today, including how the deadly shooting deeply impacted the school superintendent. Well, the Spokane Regional Health District says they've had a data breach. Let's walk through what we know so far. SRHD says the personal data of more than 1,000 patients is potentially impacted. An internal investigation found that a phishing attempt may have allowed a data thief to preview protected health information. That includes first and last names, dates of birth, case numbers, medications, and the dates and results of tests. Patients who've been affected have been notified. SRHD says no social security numbers or financial information was on any of the compromised documents. Tonight, one of Gonzaga's top dogs is making national headlines after being kicked out of the kennel. Outlets such as ESPN, CNN, The Washington Post, and The New York Times are just a few of the outlets reporting that former Gonzaga point guard and NBA legend John Stockton is currently not allowed to attend games at his alma mater after refusing to wear a mask. We first reported on this story yesterday. Gonzaga has a policy at home games that fans either need to show vaccine cards or show a negative test within 72 hours to get in, and all fans must wear masks while at the games. In other Zags news tonight, the Bulldogs' reign atop the AP poll was short-lived. After rising to #1 last week, GU back down to #2. The drop came even after the Zags beat San Francisco on Thursday. Auburn is the new top team. They received 45 #1 votes, while Gonzaga received just 15 #1 votes this week. Auburn beat Kentucky Saturday, who was ranked #12 last week. The Zags play LMU on Thursday at 8. Then they play Portland on Saturday at 6. Both of those games will be in the kennel. Well, that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of those stories, just text us the word NIGHT to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them directly to your phone. Let's get caught up on national news now. A Washington, D.C. police officer recovering after being shot in the line of duty. This is video from the scene. The chief said officers tried to make contact with the man when he pulled out a gun and fired several shots. 3 former Minneapolis police officers appeared in federal court in the death of George Floyd. They are charged with depriving Floyd of his civil rights while acting under government authority. All 3 are also charged with failing to provide Floyd with medical care, while 2 of those officers they're charged with failing to stop former officer Derek Chauvin, who was convicted last year of murder and of manslaughter. All right, take a look at this video. A man has suffered serious burns after an explosion and fire in downtown LA in a high-rise there. That fire happened at a Chipotle on the ground floor, and as you can see, smoke was billowing throughout the 27-story building. That fire caused a lot of panic and forced dozens of evacuations. And more incredible video tonight from California. The so-called Colorado fire broke out on Friday and quickly spread toward Big Sur. So far, about 500 people have been evacuated. That fire broke out hours after California Governor Gavin Newsom accepted $600 million in aid from Vice President Kamala Harris. That money will be used to reduce wildfire risk. All right, let's talk about tomorrow's forecast. Our gray, dreary January continues. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick joining us now in the Outdoor Weather Center. And Thomas, my goodness, how much longer is this fog sticking around for?
Hey there, Mark. And this fog is going to be with us basically all week long. So once again, tomorrow morning, same conditions as we had from this morning. There will be some patchy, dense fog across the region. As of this moment, there are no fog advisories, but our computer models show at least the potential between Sandpoint and the I-90 corridor of having some dense fog. But so far, so good for this evening. As we look at tomorrow morning, there are those foggy conditions getting picked up on our computer model. Temperature is well below the freezing mark. In fact, our lows could be low 20s, perhaps even teens in some locations across the inland northwest. So a foggy and very cold morning for tomorrow. And this will last for most of the week before we might mix things up for once in our extended forecast. Look for that in a few minutes.
Looking forward to that, Thomas. Thank you very much. Much of southern Idaho is now back under crisis standards of care. The Department of Health and Welfare says they're being activated because of severe staffing and blood shortages. Under crisis standards, doctors and healthcare workers may ration medicine, ventilators, and other treatments to those deemed most likely to survive. Health and Welfare made the decision after St. Alphonsus in Boise requested the activation. The committee met on Friday and then recommended crisis standards for the entire state. However, after looking at regional hospital capacity, the director decided it was only necessary right now in southern Idaho. Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson has filed a lawsuit against Google. He is arguing the company secretly tracks consumers' locations even after they turn off location tracking settings. The lawsuit claims Google uses a number of deceptive and unfair practices to get your consent to be tracked, making it nearly impossible to stop Google from collecting your location data. And that was your 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time. All right, still ahead tonight, we'll hear more from the victims of the Freeman school shooting as they face the man who threatened to kill them now more than 4 years ago. Plus, we'll hear how that day impacted the school superintendent. And later on in the broadcast, a new bill could criminalize fake vaccine cards. We are back in just 90 seconds.